So I want to, again, welcome you to Teaching Without Certification. My name is Diane Cioletta. I think you probably all got an email from me. I can see some familiar faces, so I'm glad you're all here today. I'm going to be moderating the panel, and so what I'm going to do probably is just throw out some questions to the panel, and then I'm going to ask each panelist some specific questions, and then we're going to have time for all of you to ask your questions. So I want to start by introducing the panel. First, we have Joni Roberson, who is from Teach for America. How many of you have heard of Teach for America? Okay, pretty much everyone. So good. But Joni's going to talk a little bit more about the process, the application, what they look for, and so on. We also have Sarah Kelleher from Citizen Schools. We have Kate Diedrich from Boston Teacher Residency. How many of you have heard of Boston Teacher Residency? Oh, great. Great. And last but not least, we have Jamal Williams from City Year.
I would say, if you're looking to build your resume in the realm of education, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of things happening within classrooms, a lot of things happening outside of classrooms that relate to what goes on in classrooms. But I would say the first step is just to identify your passion. Kind of figure out what you want to do, what you want to be about, because anything that you're passionate about can be manifested in the realm of education. And I think that's what's kind of great about all these different opportunities, is that you don't necessarily need to know that teaching is what's right for you, but you know, I'm really passionate about this particular social justice issue or this particular thing that affects young people, and education can be a really great vehicle for that. So I would say identify that passion and then look for ways to get involved in that passion, be it through your coursework, be it through the co-ops that you can do, or through the extracurriculars that are available.
Yeah, there's a great organization that just started this year on campus called the EDU. Actually, a sophomore, Ben Adams, who has done a lot of work in ed reform in West Virginia, and Jackie Palmer, she's a senior and recently accepted to Teach for America, founded the organization this year, and so that'd be a great way to get involved if you're younger. Also, there's just like very close to here, it's called like the Dudley Street like community initiative or Dudley Street. Does somebody know? Dudley Street. Thank you, Neighborhood Initiative. And they currently, right now, have opportunities for you to work at Dearborn and to work, I think, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, reading to early childhood, like to the little ones, and also to write letters to inspire students. So there's like lots of like very practical things that you could do, and I definitely encourage like getting into a school and like being there and seeing it, and not just like pursuing education and not really like working with kids until your like senior year.
Starting early.
Yeah, and I think the thing for Teach for America that's maybe a little different is really leadership. That's like the number one thing that we're looking for, and that does not necessarily need to be experience with kids. So like when I meet with someone and they're like, oh, but I tutored, and I'm like, actually tell me about student government, because if the passion's there, and I actually want to hear about their leadership experience.
Just to add to that, Citizen Schools offers apprenticeship programs where we have volunteer citizen teachers come in and teach a specific skill set once a week over a 10-week period. So like Jamal was saying, identify your passion. If your passion is government or science, or even if you have a special skill set like knitting or basketball, you can teach that skill and transform it to kids. And at the end of that 10-week period, they have what we call our WOW, and that's where all of your hard work accumulates to this grand performance in front of family, friends, community members, depending on where you do your partnership. We had a Google partnership where they did it in front of the Google board, presenting this, I don't remind me, I think they designed roller coasters or something like that. But anyway, it's an authentic audience, so that's definitely an opportunity you can go right now to pursue citizen teachers and teach your specific skill set.
I can speak to Boston Teacher Residency or any kind of residency programs that are training you for a more long-term career in teaching. And I think that one of the biggest things that stands out for us is community involvement and kind of the ability to work as a member of a team. So, you know, I think that sometimes you have to weigh this this push towards leadership and with a desire to be a kind of fair and just member of a team that allows for everyone else's voice, but also speaks up when it's necessary. So we as a program and many other education programs really value working in teams and within the community. So I would say you want to be in a classroom, but if you know you want to be in urban ed, it doesn't just have to be a classroom. It can also just be doing community outreach and involvement in the neighborhoods that you would think about teaching in.
I would say in addition to that, being exposed to diversity, and I don't necessarily mean diversity just in terms of racial or ethnicity. Challenge yourself to expand your horizons. Think about all the forms of diversity that exist not only here, but in the Boston or in any kind of urban environment. There's faith, there's education level, there's class, there's sexual orientation. Because I think coupled with the ability to work effectively on a team and adding the leadership component to that, you become a rock star in any realm. Being able to not only step up and stand out when leadership is necessary, but learning how to inculcate leadership amongst your peers. Because sometimes the strongest leaders that we see at all of our programs are not those that are willing to step out, but some that can inspire others around them to step out. And a lot of that dimension is what's necessary for our students. A lot of them know that they're smart. They just don't have that confidence. So if as a leader you can build that confidence and couple that with I'd say exposure to as many different things as possible so you can relate to students in a very unique and genuine way, it's definitely beneficial.
To go off that, it's not necessarily a skill, but in citizen schools we really value courage and perseverance, so seeking those opportunities, and we personally want to see how you overcame different challenges, and are you willing to be uncomfortable, and how do you react, how do you show that you're a leader in those uncomfortable situations, how do you show teamwork, so having courage and having perseverance, be it a study abroad program or maybe founding some club or organization.
I mean, I think if you know that's what you want to do, like, you should take education classes. That's awesome. I think if you're well prepared, that's great. I also think, I mean, I was a politics and government and pre-law major in college. I had no thought of teaching, but I've spent my entire professional career now in the realm of education and nonprofit and expanding educational opportunity. So if you're a senior and you didn't take education classes, that's okay. There's tons of reading and books and things that you can immerse yourself in to get that knowledge. Y'all are going to be college graduates, so I know that you can learn a new topic, and if you need to do that on your own, you can do that on your own. Also, you're still on campus, and there's tons of resources to reach out to professors and just sit down with them, pick their brain one-on-one.
City Year, we're in education, but also on the periphery of it as well. So having a really strong, robust background in education is definitely not a prerequisite. Is it helpful? Certainly, but it's definitely not required. Like Jody, I studied psychology and Africana studies, and I found myself at City Year for 5 years now. Simply because my passion was working with youth, and City Year was a really great opportunity and vehicle for me to put my passion into practice. So you have a wealth of knowledge around you, definitely tap into that, but our programs will also do our best to give you the skills and the knowledge necessary so that you're not just thrust into these environments. We're going to give you the context necessary to be successful in them as well.
For Boston Teacher Residency, as an example, we actually value content knowledge above education. So if you are applying to teach English, we want to see a really strong background in English courses because we're going to teach the pedagogy, the education portion of that. So, I mean, each program is different, and not all licensing programs or alternative certification programs will teach you, will include a curriculum in the education section, but some do. And, we've all had that teacher who's had a lot of pedagogical training but not enough content. They don't necessarily have this strong background in the content they want to teach. So if you know now that you want to teach but you're not sure about exactly what, I do think that finding out exactly what you want to teach and getting a strong background in that content is useful. I mean, you can always add it later, but in most states, especially in public schools, licensing requirements do have you need to take a solid core background in the content you're teaching. So it is important to think about.
For citizen schools, we look, if you have teaching experience, you know, that's nice, but we don't require it. We do look for youth experience and community involvement. And like you were saying, it's more about your craft. So what are you studying and how are you going to put your craft into the classroom? I mean, you could study policy, anything under the moon, but it's how you transpose it to kids that matters.